Hey guys, what is up? I hope you are all having a fantastic week. My bow is rebuilt. I had taken it apart after the season to switch some things that I felt were detrimental to me and wanted to change. I will say I'm not sponsored by these companies. I wasn't previously. I just like the products. I did some research. I paid for them myself. I will note I am a staff shooter for electric bowstrings. I do really like their strings though. I shot them for close to a year before going on staff with them, and I do still pay for my strings. But Jim is a great guy. He's located in Kansas. Check him out for all your bowstring needs. He'd be happy to help you out. The bow is a Hoyt Nitrum 34. I really like the 34-inch bow. It fit me a lot better than the 30 with the old style cam. But when I ordered my carbon one, I found that the string angle was really similar on a 31, 32, whatever they're producing now. And so I really like that. I went with that. But this one is a 34. It fit me a lot better. I am 6'1", and like I said, I just couldn't fit into the string angle on a 30 with the Z5 cams. The sight that I went with is a black gold Ascent Verdict. I had most previously shot a True Glow Range Rover single pin, and that was a great sight. I want to make it clear I'm not bashing on these companies, but my complaint was that this connection point right here, get that to focus, was round. So when I would pull it up into a tree, or it would get knocked on the truck when I was putting it in at the end of the day, it would lean forward or backward, which really messed up aiming out of a tree stand, and that was a real problem for me, so I switched. The sight housing was also really thin, and stalking a deer this year, I got something caught in it. I bent my sight pin. I didn't want to deal with that, so I went with something with a bigger housing, and this is still a single pin. I am also going to try a 3-pin just to see what I like better between a single and 3-pin slider. The rest that I went with is a QAD HDX, and it contains the arrow really well, and it also holds it up after you draw, or you can click it up, which is great for stalking. I previously used an NAP Apache, and the way the plunger was set up and the way the rest was set up, I had no access to just put the arrow in and load it from the side, and it also seemed to get above the rubber riser shelf and knock on the riser of the bow when I was stalking animals. I didn't like that either, so I did switch to a QAD. I like it a lot, but I also might try a limb-driven rest at some point. The stabilizer is nothing fancy. It is a True Glow Carbon XS, I believe. It's what I had on my old setup. I really like it. It balances the bow well, so I saw no reason to switch it. Plus, had some blue on it. It matched the rest of the bow, so I stuck with it. That is the bow setup. For those who are curious, I am pulling 68 pounds at 28.5 inches, and I've had people ask why I don't pull more than that. I have never found it necessary to kill what I need to and carry necessary kinetic energy. And when I am bundled up, have a lot of clothes on, and hunting late season whitetails, it still draws really easily for me, which is a big factor. And now I am going to talk about my arrow setup. One more thing I will mention is that I have not decided on a quiver. I am either going to go with a Hoyt bow mounted or a tight spot. I am just deciding if I want one that I can take off of the bow when I'm in a tree stand or stalking, or if I want something that will stay on the bow and just bolt onto the side. But I will talk about my arrow setup now. My arrow setup is still up in the air just a little bit, as I plan to hunt moose and elk in the next couple of years. I wanted to make sure I had an arrow that carried more kinetic energy. Recently I had been using a Beeman ICS Hunter, clocking in at about 420 grains. Great whitetail arrow. I shot my mule deer with one of those this year, and I thought it worked great. However, I hadn't been real impressed with the kinetic energy on them just because of the lighter weight, and it was going to be expensive to increase the weight of those with a brass insert. So I went with something that has more weight in grains per inch, and something with a slightly smaller diameter to help with those pass-throughs, or if you hit a bone, hit a rib, the extra weight will help. The first setup that I built a set of Easton Axis 340s, and these come in at 9.5 grains an inch. The way I have these built, the arrow is clocking in at around 450, give or take a couple grains, and so this is a pretty ideal setup. I went with the setup I always use, color and well, color-wise, I wouldn't say veins. These AAE Max Hunters are new to me. There was a lot of hype around them, so I decided to give them a try and see what I thought. But the 2 blue and a yellow works great. It always seems to show up in every situation. I can see it well in low light. Blood shows up great on these, and so that is why I went with the color combination. The next arrow setup is an Easton FMJ 340. These are both cut to 29 inches, and this one clocks in at around 485 grains. It's a little bit heavier, but I am hoping I can get it to fly well out to 70, 80, 90, even 100 yards for summer 3D. If that's the case, I will go with the Easton FMJ. I just want to make sure that it will tune and fly well. The advantage to this is it's a little heavier grains per inch wise, so I don't have to worry about heavier field points, heavier broadheads, brass inserts, stuff like that. And when I want to strip the arrow, all I have to do is take a knife. I'm not worried about nicking the aluminum like I would with the carbon. These are both X diameter shafts, like I said, so the slight increase is better in my opinion. The next thing is my release. I am shooting a Carter knock to it, and after the last hunting season I always seem to find myself banging my wrist strap release on something, rather it was hard to get stuff out of my pockets. I'd hit it on my phone sending a text message, I'd catch it on something, getting something out of my backpack, and I just got tired of dealing with it. I also wanted to make sure that I was doing well with my form, I wasn't slapping the trigger, basic things like that. And so I decided to go with one of these, and it has worked flawlessly for me. I really like the design, and I really didn't notice anything different from shooting a wrist strap as far as where I was hitting. So I am planning to stick with this for my spring turkey season, and assuming I like it, I will stick with it beyond that into the fall season. I am a little bit concerned about how I will keep this. I assume I'll just put it in my pocket or something, but I wouldn't want to lose it, which wasn't a problem with the wrist strap release, but that is just something that I am mindful of with a handheld release. Other than that, it is great. So that is my bow setup. That is why I'm using everything that I am. If anyone has any questions, I am by no means an expert, but feel free to reach out. I will try to answer it the best that I can. This is, like I said, it's just stuff that works for me, and I will be more than happy to help anyone who has questions about it from my experience. So I hope this video is helpful to everyone. Thanks for watching and tuning in, and have a great day.